Good evening, or not evening, geez, I'm so used to saying evening. Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to Countdown to Kickoff. I'm JPeeps, and obviously, as you can see from the shirt, it is in fact Florida Classic week. Well, tomorrow is the big game and everything. But as always, we're here to talk about everything Florida Classic, FAMU Bethune, players to watch, keys to victory, things such as that. Had a slow start getting on here. That's my apologies. But nevertheless, immediately after hopping off of here, heading straight to Orlando. What's up, little baby 245? What's up, Kev from Tally? Or Kev from the Bahamas, I should say. But yeah. So before we get into it as well, too, we'll talk about a couple of games around the country as far as tomorrow goes. So for tomorrow, and also too, shout out to Tasha and Ashley for both being our guest pickers. I know Ashley was unable to be there, but she still gave her picks as well. So for this week's games to watch around the country, Missouri at Oklahoma, which is a 12 p.m. kick. You have Louisville and SMU, another 12 p.m. kick. Harvard and Yale, which is also called The Game. That's a 1 p.m. kick, or no, I think 12 p.m. I think that's also 12 p.m. South Carolina State and Delaware State, that's a 1 p.m. kickoff. That's basically essentially the MEAC championship. So whoever wins that's going to Atlanta. And then you've also got Montana State versus Montana, the Brawl of the Wild going on up in Montana. And that's at 2 p.m. And then you have Jacksonville State and Florida International. So if Willie wins, he gets bowl eligibility. If not, he has to wait till next week. That's another game going on this weekend. And then you have USC and Oregon at 3:30. And then, of course, the one we're all excited for, Bethune and FAMU and the Florida Classic, that's at 3:30. And then Pitt versus Georgia Tech in Atlanta. And then BYU versus Cincinnati at 8 p.m. So those are your games on the slate for this weekend. So with that being said, be sure to leave a comment. As you guys already are, comment section's wide open. Appreciate y'all. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you're new here or if you just came here to troll. You know what I mean. But yeah, so with that being said, let's go ahead and roll the intro. Sit back, relax, or if you probably are in Orlando or on your day job right now, kick back still and relax. Take 5 or take 30, take an hour. And here we go. So first, let's open up, of course, and again, comment section's wide open, folks. Let's open up with what did Coach Colzie and Coach Woodie have to say to the media this week leading up to this one? So for Coach Woodie and his presser, basically on Monday, he said, the guys are excited to play this game up front. He did also get asked about recruiting. And to that, he also said, up front, we're going to go out and recruit guys on the offensive and defensive line, which I got to say, if you do look at them, they are bigger up front. And I've noticed that. So their offensive line does look more imposing and intimidating than it has when he first got there and under Terry Sims those last 2 years of his tenure. As well, too, he also complimented Coach Colzie. He said Colzie's got them going. They're a tough football team. Okay, so typical coach talk, basically. He also said, he said, you never know who you're going to lose. And obviously, at this point in the season, we're towards the end. So a lot of the questions that were posed were discussing, you know, what is your recruiting class going to look like? How are you going to approach this off season and everything such as that? And this is a clear cut answer. He said, you never know who you're going to lose, and recruiting has to be fluent and in a sense over recruiting. So, basically saying like it never stops, which at this point in the game with the transfer portal and then, you know, guys, wanting to leave and wanting an X amount of dollars and stuff, it's a never ending ball game. And even before the transfer portal, it was still a never ending ball game. It's something that never ends. It's a recurring cycle. He also stated too, you always have to be ahead of the game in terms of recruiting. He also stated that for Bethune, they inherited probation and bad APR scores. He also said, now we're getting it done in the classroom and we're trying to be a player led team. And it's not about me, it's about we. So I will say I was wrong about him. I didn't know I had a feeling he wouldn't have lasted as long as he did. I felt like he would have been on the hot seat coming into this. It's crazy how the tables have turned. One coach is on the hot seat that preseason it was kind of iffy with some people. But now I think a large majority, 75% or more of the people are on the fence that Colzie is definitely on the hot seat, which he is. And I think this tomorrow is very big for him. And speaking of Coach Colzie, this is what he had to say. So he basically said a win over Bethune Saturday is what they want, basically going for 5 straight. He said the guys that don't understand the significance need to understand, and we'll make sure of that. I'm going to get to that in a second, little baby. He also stated too, he said Bethune is electric. They can take one to the distance at any time, which they've always been able to do and had the capability of for as long as I can remember personally. He also stated that they are an opportunistic defense, so they're going to take their opportunities. What does that mean? I hate the fact that we don't have a quarterback that can, do like pump fakes, but double moves off of pump fakes. Ooh, with an opportunistic defense, fake the crawl route, go straight for the deep shot. It would work wonders. The only thing is, through 10 games, I wonder still, can RJ do it? I don't know. As well, too, he also said, we're just getting ready for the next one when in terms of talking about how big this game is and stuff and everything surrounding it and all the hype. So, I mean, it makes sense. You're just getting ready for the next one. The most important game is the next one. It has to be a complete buy-in with the way recruiting is going. So that's also something that he also stated. He also said last year we had just got upset by Mississippi Valley coming into this one, and we were able to establish a run game, and we gave them a short field a lot, which also explains why they got a lot of the points they had last year, the 38. So, okay, he's owning it. Okay. He also complimented, Coach Woodie as well. He said Coach Woodie wants to get the ball to his playmakers, and he said they've gotten bigger on defense, which, yes, they have. He also stated, too, the improvement of QB play has been a big part of why we're possibly looking at 7-5. We're doing everything we can to finish with a 7-5 record. And I think he's going to get it. I definitely think he gets it. BCC was almost at level 3 APR restrictions when Woodie came in. That's why he's not going anywhere anytime soon. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, when you can turn that around that quick, and then, I mean, granted, everything they went through too in the middle of COVID-19 with the furlough and everything, like, kudos to him, man. He got that thing straightened out. I was critical of him because of seeing the work he had done at Florida State and seeing how many like ex players had said, I don't know if he's the guy, but hey, he had them basically in the running for the conference title, or at least the East, for an X amount of weeks. So yeah, I definitely think he's earned himself a little bit longer of a stay. Plus, he's a former alum and everything, so it works for him. Yeah. Oh yeah, he's he's earned himself a stay, especially now if he can get some recruiting done and beef up the trenches and stuff. I think he's earned himself a stay. Crazy thing about it, or something. And yes, that's true. They sure are. This year's. That's very true. Wait, okay. So you're saying like FAMU's worse on defense. Yes, that's true. FAMU is worse on defense, and they are better on offense this year. They are. They are. All right. So next thing up on the ledger. So first for Bethune, obviously last week, last game they lost to Jackson State 13-28. I can see it. I can absolutely see it, and that's what it feels like. Because even talking with Bishop, last or Tuesday night, he was even saying it like this team is playing better ball. RJ's throwing the football better. I will admit I've been someone that's been very critical of quarterback play this season and the inconsistency and the misreads, but I need him to, as far as passing the ball, be better than what he was in Huntsville. Or at least be the same or be better. Carry that over to Orlando, but also mix in the run and have success with it. I still think we win because we take care of mediocre. Sorry, teams, but anyone who's good, they kick our teeth in. Yep, that's very true. That's very true. So, like, again, you're not beating who was it that they played that was, top tier? I'm trying to think. Yeah, like you're not beating a Jackson State. You're not beating an Alabama State. You're not beating a North Carolina Central. You're not crazy how you lost to Howard. That's insane. But yeah, you're not beating a Florida Atlantic, which is 5 losses. Today's an opportunity, or tomorrow's an opportunity. Jeez, I'm so used to saying today. But please fix the defense. No three defensive lineman sets ever. Get DBs to have their eyes and aren't slow and get a dog at any percent. I agree. I honestly agree. You need to go 4 down linemen. You have to, and you need to generate some pressure off the edges. They have to. Only one takeaway, no sacks last week. That was inexcusable. Absolutely inexcusable. Hopefully they were hiding something or saving something for this week, which I highly doubt because it's been a recurring theme. But hopefully something changes. I think so too. And it's the last year of his contract. So in my humble opinion, much like yours, Aaron, I say SWAC championship or bust. And when I say SWAC championship, I mean win it. In terms of him getting a contract extension. If he doesn't win it, I don't think he's getting an extension. And I already think this team is a 7. I'm being generous if I say 8-win team at best next year. But let's say he doesn't get the extension. I don't think the table won't be left bare for the next coach that comes in. Because whoever comes in, and I have my opinion of who I think should be the leading candidate, but to each his own here. There will be talent at the table still. He's going to have to hire a better defensive staff. He's going to have to hire, a better wide receiver coach because there were a lot of drops and inconsistencies early in the season that if you make those plays, you're coming into this game with a win over Howard at the least. I don't think you still beat Alabama State or Jackson State or NC Central, but I think you would have had a better offensive showing in those games. Move on from 8-4. That APR can get improved. But at 8-4 in a contract year, depending on where those 4 losses come from, which I think one's going to come from the money game guaranteed. you're rumored to be playing South Carolina State in the Orange Blossom Classic. That's another one that's kind of iffy. Right now, I don't have them winning that. You have to go to Jackson. I don't think you're winning that. You have to go to Montgomery. I don't think you win that either. And then, let's see. Money game, Alabama State, Jackson State, and then South Carolina State, possibly Orange Blossom Classic. That's definitely 4 right there. Plus, they may drop another game that you shouldn't lose. But all in all, 8-4, I think that depending on how that 8-4 looks, you still can move on from him. You still can. Especially if there's something out there that's better that can take you even further. I hate to be that guy, but I do think that, 8-4, you could still be moved on from. Because the thing is, do you want to give him more than $720,000 on a new contract for multiple years at 8-4? Do you really want to run that risk? That's the thing you have to ask. Because he's going to command more money, and he's already made $720,000 over 3 years. Never should let AC go. I agree. He let him go. And lo and behold, AC Carter went out and recruited one kid straight to Alabama A&M out of Tallahassee. Just can't remember the high school he got him out of, but he definitely went and got one. I know there's some malarkey going on. The decision like that. Oh yeah, 100% was some malarkey going on. Yeah, he's gonna have to leave all his options open, and he's gonna have to hit on every single need this offseason. He's basically replacing 22 guys along that defense. 40 seniors you have to replace from this team. See, the re-up on an 8-4 contract will be a 2-year extension, the last year being an option. Possibly. All right, so let's get into this. So with Bethune-Cookman, their last game was against Jackson State. They lost 13-28 in a game where Jackson State ran the ball 55 times and only passed it 21. And out of those 21 times, 12 of those balls were complete. So we're going to call a spade here. They took the ball out of their quarterback's hands. They ran the ball. They chewed a lot of clock. And that's why you got the score why the score was so close. They played ball control. They managed the clock. Plus, it's a young quarterback. Bingo. Heavy in the trenches. And like I told Tashe Wednesday night, and I think I told Bishop this too, there's a kid that just hit the portal out of Harvard. I don't know if I don't think he's playing tomorrow for the Harvard-Yale game, but the kid just hit the portal. He only gave up 1 sack last year. And we want to sit here and talk about who academically can be and get into FAMU as a student athlete. That's a kid right there. You won't even have to worry about him. You won't have to worry about him being ineligible. Him, the freshman that they brought in this past signing class from Dr. Phillips, and David Gardner is his name, the kid they got from Dr. Phillips. So the kid from Harvard, David Gardner, and then they just got another offensive tackle that's 6'6". That's 3 guys right there that if you put them all together, you've already restructured 3 out of 5 positions along your offensive line. But we'll see if he'll make the call. And that's true. They got no offensive TDs in that game. None whatsoever. Now, again, our defense is not like the defense they saw last week. Our defense is, and I'm going to be honest, more so Swiss cheese. Also, too, Bethune comes into this game 2.5-point favorites according to Vegas, which honestly, in my opinion, if it's anything less than 6.5, that's really just a toss-up. So I think this is probably the first time in Lord knows how long that they've come into this game as favorites. As well, too, they're averaging 28.9 points per game. If you want to play politics with that, they're averaging 28.9. FAMU's averaging 22.5. Now, granted, as well, too, FAMU has done a better job since November 1st, scoring in excess of over 28 points. As well, too, and I would be weird. I would be notable of where these people line up on the field. Know where number 5 is. Know where number 9 is at all times. As well, too, know where number 18 is. Their tight end. He will try to work right up the seam a lot of times. And I noticed that when I went back and watched the UAPB game, that they love to go to 18 right up the seam multiple times if they can find him. So whoever's covering him off the line at linebacker, or even if there's, a nickelback covering him, you have to be aware. As well, too, they gave up 100 yards rushing to 3 different running backs. In total, Jackson State was able to accumulate 360 yards rushing on Bethune-Cookman's defense. Also, they were unsuccessful with – oh, okay. I see what I put here. They were unsuccessful trying to work the ball to 18 up the seam against UAPB. They were able to find him, I believe, twice from what I remember. They didn't really find him at all when I went back and watched the Jackson State game. They also struggled to establish a ground game against Jackson State. Only 75 yards rushing from this offense. But again, be mindful. They played a better defense last week. As well, too, 52 rush attempts to 21 for pass attempts is what Jackson State was able to also have success against them doing. Bethune was also horrible on third down last week. 2 of 12 on third down, but they were showing a very disciplined style of play as far as penalty yards go. So 2 penalties for 15 yards as well. Now for FAMU, last week, ugly win, but nevertheless, a win is a win. 3 touchdown passes from R.J. Johnson in that win against Alabama A&M in a 26-23 brawl, if you want to call it that, or it was just an ugly win, to be honest. You're still alive for a 500 season. FAMU's never finished below 500 as members of the SWAC. They've also never lost to Bethune as members of the SWAC. Yes, that's a good word. Thank you. It was a very nasty win. You're averaging 22.5 points per game, according to ESPN. RJ may have played his best game of the season. 20 of 24, 299 yards, 3 touchdown passes, and 1 rushing TD. So 4 total TDs on the day in all. So, again, need that this week. The rushing attack did take a big step back last week. That had 65 yards. Haley had 34. And you're going to need that to be vastly improved tomorrow if you're going to win. So you do need, by land or by air, to find a way to get this done. And you're going to need to run the ball successfully well. As well, too, wide receiver room looked good. 9 different guys caught passes. The defense was atrocious. However, Amari Lee was able to record 1 interception on the game. But at the same time, too, you gave up 227 passing yards and 1 touchdown pass to the 4th-string quarterback for Alabama A&M. And you also got shredded for 233 yards against them as well. Yes, they are. They sure are. You need basically the same type of performance that you got last year out of that, Franklin, again tomorrow. And you also need to have the combination of thunder and lightning play a huge role as well. Because when I go back and look at it, and again, we spoke when we were talking with Tasha Wednesday about it. Thad had 195 yards in the game last year. Like, he took it over. 195 yards, almost a 200-yard night, Florida Classic MVP. That's on that. You don't see that a whole lot. Not in the Florida Classic, at least. I think the most up to that point was, Philip Sylvester had 180. But, yeah, you're going to need something similar to that, or even if Jamal Haley can get going too to kind of take the pressure off of him, that would be great. But yeah, they rushed for 200 last year. That had a couple TDs. I know Kelvin Dean had 1 or 2, I think. But you're going to need something similar to that again this year. As well, too, Daniel Porto may have played his worst game of the season. I think he will bounce back. Bingo. Boy, exactly what you did against Southern. Copy and paste it and do it better times 10. Now, granted, you're going to play a better defense, in my opinion, than what you saw that night in Baton Rouge. But take full-fledged advantage. And as well, too, I would take some shots deep because right now it does seem like RJ has grown a little bit as a passer so far with that 20 of 24. So I would definitely take some deep shots to Kenori Wiltshire and, Goldie Lawrence as well. Hopefully Goldie's knee is fine coming into this game. Also, FAMU's 2 of 9 on third down, so basically them and Bethune have something in common coming into this game. So both were absolutely pitiful on third down. Alabama A&M, to put this in perspective, against FAMU's defense was 11 of 18. FAMU was also 1 of 1 on fourth down, so 4 for 4 on fourth down in 2 straight weeks. So that's something to look forward to. So if we do get into a 4th and short situation and we're in the right area of the field and not backed up too deep, I do feel like we have a good shot of converting 4th down. So I will say that's one thing that in the second half of this season, this staff has done better, because that Alabama A&M game or Alabama State game, it was just god awful. Also 7 penalties for 60 yards. Got to clean it up. Got to clean it up if you're going to have success. Now for players to watch for tomorrow as well. Here to say he couldn't throw past 4 yards. Now he's chucking it. Yeah, no. And I like what I saw, granted as well too. Alabama A&M's defense is absolutely also Swiss cheese, because doing the Monday night review with ONG Strike Zone, and also shout out to them for having me on. Appreciate that. From Keith and company. Looking at, just the route concepts and stuff and how FAMU's wide receivers were just able to blow by Alabama A&M's secondary with such ease, like he had no choice but to chuck it and have success. And if the opportunity presents itself again, double move it. I would use double moves, find ways to get wide open this week. And I would just let it rip. Because now at this point in the season, you're seeing guys coming down with these deep balls and winning these one-on-one matchups. So I would definitely take advantage of it, because the opportunity will present itself. And with that as well, too, speaking of players to watch. So for Bethune, Cam Ransom, and these are all season long numbers, 1,743 passing yards on the season, 13 TDs, 6 interceptions. So half of 6 interceptions to 13 TDs. Look, when he puts the ball in the air and he gives you an opportunity, you have to take advantage of it. You have to. He's going to get his, but when he does gift you something, take advantage of it. Another player to watch, Kamani Robinson, number 29 at running back, 81 carries, 444 yards, 4 TDs coming into the game. As well, too, Malik Huggins, who had a punt return last year for a touchdown in the same game. 56 receptions, 808 yards, 7 TDs on the season. So he's almost well short of 1,000-yard season. I don't know if he'll get if they let him get 200 yards just to have 1,000-yard season. That's pitiful. He should not get it. He should not complete his quest of 1,000-yard season tomorrow. Absolutely not. As well, team linebacker Steven Sparrow, 35 total tackles, 2 sacks on the season. And then your leader he's your leader as far as total tackles on the season. Your leader as far as sacks on the season, Montravius Lloyd, 2.5 sacks on the season, 26 total tackles. And then, my bad, I lied. This is your leader for Bethune-Cookman on the season in total tackles. Safety Antoine Watts, 85 total tackles, 3 sacks on the season. He's also probably the sack leader too. Ooh, all right. All right. So, and then for FAMU, of course, players to watch: RJ Johnson, 2,086 yards passing on the season, 14 touchdown passes, 1 interception. That is unheard of to get through an entire season like this and only have 1 interception. Now, granted, as well too, he early in the season didn't want to put the ball in harm's way, does not thread the needle. He's very, very cautious with the football. So I guess this is the result you get. As well too, Thad Franklin, 140 carries on the season, 619 yards in total this year, 5 TDs. And then Jamal Haley, 66 carries, 364 yards, 4 TDs. He's really come on strong in the second half of the year. And then you have Kanari Wilcher, 31 receptions, 495 yards, 3 TDs, finally starting to catch wind. He's really established himself as wide receiver one in my opinion, this season. And then Goldie Lawrence, 24 receptions, 355 yards, 2 TDs this season. Here in the second half of the year, I feel like he's really established himself as wide receiver two. And then linebacker Jason Riles as well, 65 total tackles on the year as well. Those are your players to watch. Jeez, that was a mouthful of numbers. All right. So for Bethune, simply question as follows, what deficiencies in the FAMU defense can they capitalize off of? Simply put, I think what you can capitalize off of is the fact that FAMU's defense does not tackle well. FAMU's secondary, they give up the shallow cross a lot. They give up passes in the flat a lot. I would take advantage of it. Work short to long. As well, too, is it possible that today, let's see. I would, too. At some point, we do need to incorporate him today. He put on a lot of weight. He's somewhat of a bruiser, and I would utilize him. As well, too, is it possible that they reestablish the ground game? I think it is for tomorrow that Bethune could. Honestly, again, they played a much better defense last week than what they're going to see tomorrow. So I do think they're going to try to establish a run. And Raymond Woodie's got a full season's worth of film to go off of because this FAMU defense, they are what they are at this point. There's no magic formula. I wish there was. That's going to just say, hey, you know what? You suck against run defense, but in the Classic, you might be a whole lot better. Hopefully, we see the first half defense for an entire game that we saw against Pine Bluff. Hopefully, we see that. That's what I would like. As well, too, how do you prevent RJ from gaining confidence? Honestly, look, disguise coverages load the box. Roll one coverage or show one coverage, and then get creative and show another. And roll your coverage into something else. Nick Collins, I know, is on that staff, so he's got NFL experience. He knows what it's like. He practiced against a guy named Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. So, who else better to show the secondary how to roll coverages and get creative than Nick Collins? Goodness gracious, man. Dang, don't do it like that. Golly. Jeez. But that is true. As well, too, let's see. Is the feeling of that FAMU win streak good or bad? Ooh, you know what? I used to say this about FAMU during that 9-year streak. Winning streaks, they tend to have a mental impact on a team, honestly. So when you do see these win streaks kind of start to mount and build and build and build and get to now it's like 5 years, you kind of get the sense of, oh, okay, here we go. Oh my gosh, Nick, NC Rat Lady, not fall right off the bone. God. But yeah, when you start to see these streaks start to happen, you kind of get that mental edge. Because again, it took Michigan years to finally get over the Ohio State hump. It took FAMU years to get over the Bethune hump. When you get let's say Bethune has the lead in the fourth quarter and it's still a close game, like say they're only up by 10 points or 7 points, and you've got them right where you want them. And then all of a sudden it becomes like, oh my gosh, we got it, to all right, let's just not blow this. Let's just hold on. It can do something to a team. It's again, I'm not just saying it because it's the Florida Classic. We've seen it happen multiple times. Seen it happen to Michigan. Seen it happen to Florida. We've seen it happen to Florida State. Like all these rivalry games that have been played, like it happens. Especially if you're on the other end of a losing streak. Like it happens. It's just the nature of the beast. As well, too, how do they force RJ to come off his first read? Simply put, take away his first read and make him go somewhere else. And let's see how much he's learned. So if I'm Bethune, I'm putting my best corner on whoever the first read is, quite honestly. Now, it's hard to gauge that and judge that, but if you can pull RJ off of his first read, your front seven has a chance to get home. So tomorrow, again, needs to be RJ's best game. And he needs to see the entire field, which the good thing is he's starting to do a better job of now. All right, now, so for questions for FAMU, of course, how does FAMU find a way as a 2.5 point underdog? Simply put, this is still anybody's game. Yeah, what's the score of that game, actually? I was wondering about that, and like I saw like they were down 0-1 at first, but then they found a way back. We better not go into the half or start the fourth trailing. Yeah, I hope not. I hope not. And he's going to have to go for over 300 possibly. I hope he doesn't give up this streak, honestly. You better not. I'm telling you. He's coaching for his, in a sense, he's coaching for his job. If he wins tomorrow, I think he's coming back. If he loses, then the conversations begin to be had. So you have to win. And it's actually crazy to believe. Like usually you would never guess that, coming into this game, FAMU's got this 4-game winning streak and everything like that. And FAMU is at 500 and everything. Like it's crazy to believe. Like preseason, we thought Raymond Woodie would be in trouble and at risk of losing his job. Now it's all shifted over to Colzie and the possibility of him losing his job. Like it's just insane. Do you think RJ's learning to go through his reads more since there is a built-in trust with the wide receivers, especially Wilcher and Goldie? I think he is learning, because at some point, the light has to click. The light has to come on at some point, and thankfully it's come on now rather than December when, he just has that full come to Jesus moment and he's like, oh my gosh, dang, I could have done this or I could have done that. So it's good to see that, it's starting to come to fruition now versus never. Because there was a point in the year where God almighty, I was worried. I didn't know if he'd ever figure it out. But I can say he's steadily come a long way since that Orange Blossom Classic and missing 3 reads that could have been touchdowns and could have led to a win. So I guess you got to take the good with the bad. I still would have wanted to win that game, but it is what it is. Oh, okay. They're in the 4th match right now, tied at 10. Okay, so I'm assuming it's 2-1 right now. So if they win this one, then they advance and it's over. Okay, nice, tied at 10. So hopefully they can hold on. That would be great. As well, too, the other question that I have here is how safe is Colzie's job? Simply put, as I've already stated, look, he needs to win tomorrow. But I do not think it's going to be a blowout. But he needs to win tomorrow by hook or by crook. As well, too, why is it vital for this defense to stop the run and have a consistent pass rush? Look, I'm probably asking for too much there, but you got to find a way to get home. And you got to find a way to stuff the run. Fill the run lanes. Something, anything. As well, too, at this point, Well, I guess, you know what? I had those questions last week. I can scrap those. It's fine. All right. So with that, because it is, it's 1:12. All right. Wow. All right. So yeah, with that, because we are 40 minutes in and I got to get on the road, I'll give you my keys to victory and the score predictions from Wednesday night if you missed them as well. So first key to victory, of course, as far as this defense is concerned, tackle, 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 and then again, tackle and gang tackle. So when I say that, I mean, yes, fill the lanes, fill the run lanes, attack the gaps, pursuit, bring your arms, no reaching. Because if this team starts to reach, Kamani Robinson and company and all these running backs and wide receivers for Bethune are going to have a field day. And also Cam Robinson, which also I would be aware. When they get it on the goal line, be aware they're going to try to tush push it. So there needs to be your best display all year of tackling needs to happen tomorrow. If he loses, that 220 QB club is going to be rough. Oh, it's going to be very rough. He might as well not even show up if that happens. It's going to be brutal. I think it all rides on, the emotions from this game. If you can win tomorrow, you do carry some momentum going up the valley because, again, like I said last night with Troy and on Fat Mouth Sports, it's Thanksgiving weekend. It's only going to be 2 people and a mule there. It's in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. Nobody's going to honestly be there. I personally, right, it just came to me last night. I question if Valley's band is even going to be there. Thanksgiving night or Saturday after Thanksgiving, there's not going to be many people there. So, and plus the Egg Bowl is going on in Mississippi too. So it's like the priorities will lay somewhere else. So that's going to be a game where you got to bring your own juice for you to really have a chance. So you got to fake it till you make it. But I do think, again, ultimately, it's a lot's riding on tomorrow night. If you can get through tomorrow and have success, I think, again, you carry a lot of momentum going to Itabena. Key to victory number 2, of course, and I said this last week, I'm going to say it again, consistency on offense. I don't care what you do, whether you pass it or you run it, find some consistency. Anything. Scratch, claw, kick them in the nuts, whatever. Find some consistency and get the job done. And then, of course, execute on special teams. Said this too last week as well. Hopefully it resonates this week. I am expecting Daniel Porto will bounce back. I still think he's an All-American kicker. But yes, execution on special teams is going to be paramount. Making your field goals, covering, because they do have a tendency that they can run back kicks. They've always had that tendency to be able to do that successfully. And also covering punts. Don't give them a short field. Flip the field. Win the field position battle. I'd rather see them have to drive 90 yards versus them only have to drive 40 yards. So you can't give them a short field like you did last year multiple times. And with that, that's it for my keys to victory. So score predictions from last night or Wednesday night, my fault. Jeez. So Ace said FAMU 34 and then Mary School basically 37. And again, with Ace, I know he's rough and I know he's straight to the point. If I'm gonna keep it a buck, he picked Alcorn on homecoming. He picked who else? He picked Alabama A&M. He picked Pine Bluff. He picked Bethune this time. He's been wrong before. Do not panic. Dalton basically said FAMU 38, Bethune 30. This actually feels a little realistic. He's good for getting a score prediction right at least once a year, so we'll see if he's right. Ashley, I don't know if she gave her score. Oh, no, she didn't. Tasha did. Okay. So Tasha basically said, FAMU 38, Bethune 35. This one also feels like it could also come to fruition too. And for me, this is what I've got. So, oh no, not that one. This is what I'm going with. So I'm going to say FAMU 48-42. I do think you're going to have to score points in excess. I think it's going to look a lot like the Southern game, much like I believe it was like Little Baby had said earlier. I'm trying to see where it was. Where's the comment at? Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah, much like she said earlier, I think it's going to have to look a lot like the Southern game as far as, execution, running the ball. But I think you're going to see a blend of passing as well from RJ. But again, whatever works, whatever's the hot hand, whoever the hot hand is, if it's RJ executing passes, stick with it until they stop it. If it's Thad Franklin breaking free and getting 7 yards of carry, stick with it. Whatever is consistent for your offense to do, keep doing it. And don't stop doing it. Defensively, controlled aggression. Remember, tackle, tackle, tackle. And don't stop tackling. And with that, folks, that's all I have for you. There will be no post game. There usually is there never has really been a post game after the Classic, of course, because there's so much going on. Plus all these times in victory, y'all don't need to see me after that. But we'll be back again next week. FAMU against Valley, Thanksgiving weekend. It's at 3 p.m., so we'll close out the year and everything with that. Don't forget, of course, right back here, I think Tuesday. I'm not sure if Bishop wanted to take the week off for Thanksgiving or not, but I'll double check with him. But don't forget, usually 9 times out of 10, Rattler Roundup podcast live Tuesday at 9 p.m. Pending this week, we'll see what happens because it is Thanksgiving. For sure, this is happening. Running Gun podcast live Wednesday at 8 p.m. So don't miss that. If we're unable to discuss Tuesday, we'll wrap it up on Wednesday. And then as well, to countdown to kickoff, we'll be back next week. I'm trying to remember the time. So whatever the time is for that game next week against Valley, we'll be back for that as well. Again, appreciate all you guys that have tuned in. I know a lot of you guys are at work and stuff probably, or already over in Orlando enjoying yourselves. So yeah, I'm going to get out of here, go get on the road so I can get to Orlando and go enjoy some Voodoo Donuts at City Walk this evening as well. So with that being said, folks, y'all take care, stay safe, stay blessed. If you're on your way to Orlando, drive safely. We will see you. Oh, wait. Score prediction copy. Yeah, that's fair. That's what a lot of people have been thinking. But yeah. All right, folks. Yeah, as always, stay safe, stay blessed, get to Orlando safe. If you're not in Orlando, if you're in Tallahassee, go support those girls for volleyball and the SWAC tournament. But yeah, take care.